We are live. Hello, everyone. This is Kathy Mason from MasonWorks Marketing, and I'm so glad to do this adventure with my friend Jay Matta. And Jay has 5D Mystic. He has the Gnostic TV, and it says 5D Economy on there. So, Jay, why don't you share how this was your brainchild to do something for quantum business, since we're in new territory. So do you want to share a little bit about what the concept is for you?
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, thanks for hosting this out here and helping pioneer this. Yeah, listen, Kathy. There's, as you know, both of us deal with a lot of and assist a tremendous amount of business people that are looking to start up their businesses or expand their businesses. And 2024, there's such a new way of doing things, and as we get into the years, if you would, everything seems to be different. So a lot of it is really kind of we really wanted to be a resource for people. So find out like what people are wanting help with. Like, what are your challenges? I mean, everything, social media is moving at, and changing at Mach speed. I mean, everything's changing all the time. There's attraction marketing techniques that are coming into play now, multidimensional ways to be able to grow businesses. And a lot of you spiritual people will really get where I'm saying from that perspective. So it's really more along the lines of being a resource for people with both what I've worked with over the years, what you've worked with. I believe between both of us, we bring a hell of a lot of wisdom to the entrepreneur spirit on the internet right now. So I think it'd be a good service that we provide.
Yes. And the thing is that the energy that we can positively direct is going to come back so to help everybody.
Yeah.
The times are changing. Change is not bad. For a long time, I was part of an Arthur Anderson group. Before I started this business 24 years ago, I ran the Change Enablement Group for District 6 for Arthur Anderson. I had 80 people below me. And those models for business were change was fear. The Change Enablement did mergers and acquisitions, and we did online learning back then, 25 years ago, 26 years ago. And we did HR, which mergers and acquisitions, most people are afraid that their job's a duplication and they're going to leave, or they're going to put in all new systems and their cushy job they've had for all this time is now going to be different. So that was fascinating, and being highly sensitive was fascinating. But we want people to be excited about change and be looking for change. And all of this AI stuff, I'm using it every day. I'm using it for good. I'm learning about it. I took a class on YouTube. I'm really trying to grow YouTube even more. And there are people that are making still pictures into video.
Right.
With AI.
People shouldn't be afraid that AI is going to take over the world or replace their jobs. They should be afraid of the person that understands AI that's going to take over the world and replace their job. That's what it's, you know what I mean? That's really where it's at.
Well, I don't think until our values change that. Okay, so the internet allows us all to have a common theme of humanity. And once you realize that the Russians love their children too, I mean, all of these evil people aren't really evil. They're just trying to make their way. And that you start getting a little bit of discernment about what's your role in the frequency creation, because it's magnetic.
Right.
That's what I love what you're doing. So the thing is that we are alchemizing every second of every day. And if we can change our mindset, so we wake up in the morning and are delighted, what am I going to create today? What synchronicities are going to happen? What beautiful opportunities are going to appear? We create that. If I think that life's a miracle, that's what happens. But there's so many people that are listening to the media or are they're carrying the past like a steamer trunk.
Right. A lot of baggage.
Oh, you can't. You got to just sort of wipe it clean, right?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, it is. It's a lot of baggage out there. I mean, there is. I mean, look, and I think in today's world, I think this is where people really need to be open to the fact if you're going to prosper, if you're not at that, okay, look, people know who they are, right? But if you're not at that place of where you are prospering, they're prospering the way that you should be, then this is a time for joint alignments. I know, like probably like around 10, 12 years ago, there was this big thing about joint ventures, and that was very popular. These things are coming back to life again. They really do help each other. I mean, I think don't be afraid to reach out to someone that you're connected with and start to be creative about what you can do together, because that's really going to be the wave of how things start to move. It's more of a fifth dimensional construct, if you would, instead of a third dimensional where we live, which is I'm in it for me. And it's like, I'm the only one swinging my own hammer to make whatever I can make. You work on, when you work with different people, you start to generate multiple income streams, and you start to generate more creativity, and one thing leads to the next, which leads to the next. And that's how this whole purpose of us, my personal experiences, that's what I believe existence is really about. It allows us to experience all of what we're doing right now. The more we can work with others and find out what their life's journey is, I think that's where we start to get more and more, I guess, part of our source, and know that we really do have the ability to manifest on our own and attract things on our own.
Right. So the other part of this is that the indigenous wisdom that has been hidden from all the colonization for all these years, they did everything in circle.
Right.
And what we're seeing is the opportunity to come back in circle with like minds, and everyone's energy focused on the new solutions, the wider perspective. And that's what a servant leader does in business. Anyone who knows what servant leaders do, that's what cause marketing does. It allows whatever you do to be multiplied out in your community. So there's so many aspects of this that people may not know, that you and I kind of take for granted, right, that people know, or people hire us to, in my case, they hire me to help them set up. And we just wanted to share that so that these times of changes could be exciting rather than frightening.
Right. So I think in today's world, like this is a really unique time we live in, where the energies are so apparent. And so, like, if you find yourself chasing people or chasing business or following up on business or wondering why things are there, that's out of alignment with the universe, right? But if you find that you're effortlessly attracting things to you, you are, people that normally would put you off are all of a sudden calling you and saying, hey, how do I get started with you? Or how do I buy your program, your book, or whatever it is, your sessions? That's the way it is. That's the way by infinite design. We're in that time right now. So I would really, we call it the 5D economy, our website, right, Kathy? It's creating abundance by helping other people become abundant. And that's really every business owner really needs to start to think about that as their way of doing business now, is to really learn about how do I attract more people, more businesses, versus trying to, solicit or build them, whatever businesses they may have. How do I go out and start doing that? Because the energy is all in our favor right now, and more people are getting, it's the way they want to buy. They want to buy on their own terms. They don't want to, one of the things we always learn in business is people love to buy, they just hate to be sold. So if you understand that theory, when you're marketing or selling a product or your business that people love, they do want to buy, they just don't want you to sell them. So if you can understand that theory and start to reframe the way you position your messaging and your thinking, that will reframe and position your income too.
Right. Well, it makes total sense that people learn that people do business on relationship. and that everything is an exchange of energy. When I work with somebody and they're starting to formulate their brand and everything, we're just trying to align you to who you really already are so that it's understandable, because we're in a time period where people are starting to wake up to the reality of this systems, the cultures that are in place that may not serve us. And what happens is they're looking, who do I know, like, and trust to do business with? So it's really important to show up as your energy signature. It's a magnet to the people that you're here to serve, correct?
I love it. You're so wise. You really are. It sounds all that's, but it's so true though. It's like we have to find out, and you have to. You know, look. I mean, I don't think we were brought here into this world to just pay like retribution, or suffer the sins of, or what I mean, this is our life's lesson kind of thing like that. I don't believe in any of that, because no, that's just a theory, right? So then there's the other theory of like, well, why not live like goddesses and gods, right? So nobody's been able to show one way or the other distinctively, so why not go with the other option? Is why not live like that, is all I'm saying. Why not live like a god or goddess and manifest like that? Because nobody's showing you the other way. Nobody came down and said to you, you are here to learn a lesson, this is why you're struggling. And I don't believe you're supposed to be okay with that. That's not the way I choose to live. And I think that if you're an entrepreneur, probably advise you not to think that way, and start to think about the way, like, if you're going to get things out of life. I mean, Kathy, with your clients and the success stories you've gotten with a lot of your clients, and who we work with, I mean, that's the common indicator of a successful business person, is the fact that they don't wait for things, they don't try to tie on all of this, any events. They go out and get what their due is. They get their stake in the world, if you would.
Oh, okay. So, thank you, Ross. I love you. So ultimately it is all based on frequencies and vibrations. Yep. The other thing I wanted to add, thanks, Ross, so much. The other thing I wanted to add is that I really believe that each one of us has our own hologram, which is our own little movie that we made up, that our soul is actually projecting into this dimension. Our soul is quantum, just like this quantum business conversation. And what we're looking at now is where all of our holograms can intersect and fortify, because it's the win-win, the dance of business. It's not the same. You're not a victim of anything. You're the creator of everything. So that's a totally different way to look at your whole business and your whole life, because sometimes you have been in, or I've been in, judgment of other people. And instead, by stepping back and having no judgment, you get to learn about a different holographic viewpoint that someone else may have, right?
100%. And it's so healthy to really view it that way. And look, it is easy to judge, and that's just our inherent nature. We're judging people. We're judging world, judging race. So it's what we do. The key is like you said, is just understanding, hey, wait a minute, I am judging. Let me back that off a little bit and learn how to not so, and realize that, like you said, I think that was just so well spoken, it is someone else's holographic. Let's see what that's about. You know what I mean? And, we don't know what their messages are. We don't instinctively know, maybe instinctively wise, but we don't ultimately know like what their downloads are. We don't know if they think that they're Jesus Christ or whatever, Mary Magdalene, or commander of a battleship. We don't know if in their mind that's true, then maybe that's their stream of, maybe that is their holograph. You know what I mean? So, I think for us to because we don't see any evidence of anything else, I think for us to naively judge any of that, if the more we embrace it, is what I'm saying. I think that my evidence is, as a business person, is the more and more I embrace the fact that, hey, you know what, that's someone else's journey. Very well may be true for them. The more and more I see abundance and more manifestations come in my life.
Right. And this bigger viewpoint, this is such an important time period to have an expanded view, because that's where all the problem solving is coming from, because as everyone knows, during this time period, this past 3 years, lots of things, if you were in business as long as I've been, which you guys have, are what we found is the businesses, the go-to, the tools, the restaurants, the local businesses, a lot of them didn't make it. And so everything was a workaround. Well, that's actually good for you. That's like, it's like brain massage or something for you to keep looking and seeing and perfecting and make it a game rather than an inconvenience. Your frequency, when you look at it as a negative, draws you down. When you look at it as a positive, like, oh, I found this, wonder what else I can find, is a totally different outcome. Don't you agree?
I totally do. And it's so incredible. It's the best time ever, I tell you, if anybody's ever just wanting to experience going full throttle with an online business, there's a lot of people in the world. I don't know what world people see, but there's a lot of abundance going around. And I tell you, you just have to be in that vibrational match with it. But there's a lot of abundance going around. There's a lot of people spending money. There's more billionaires being made. There's more millionaires being made. There's more people being able to leave their jobs than ever. There's more people being able to live the lives they wanted than ever. Those opportunities exist right now. So it's happening. I think if any show or messaging, if you would, or media tells you anything different, then I would say, well, Kathy, I mean, me and April, we haven't watched the news for 4 years. We haven't even turned on our TV. So I'm not, I think watching that stuff, whether it be on your mainstream media or whether it be on, alternative media, bad news or not healthy news is bad news and not healthy news wherever you look at it at. So just don't bring it into your life. I mean, we live in Florida, and people tell us when there's hurricanes in our backyard because we don't really know. They're like, "Oh, are you going to be okay?" I'm like, "For what?" You know what I mean? But it's fine because we don't want to give it that energy. And you know what? Because a lot of the stuff's so overplayed, so overhyped. So I would say to people, if you are considering starting a business or you're struggling with your business, and if you do watch the day-to-day stuff that's happening in day-to-day politics and news, that's probably a big thing that you should really consider just dumping like ASAP. You know what I mean? Because that's not going to serve you well. Focusing on your prize, focusing on your manifestation, focusing on your destiny, focusing on attracting everything you ever wanted in life, focusing on finding your right vibrational match and create your own world, your own, hologram, city, if you would, whatever you want to call it, but create that dynamic in your own video game.
Well, I do think mindset has always been really important, but I think it's even more so now because there is so many rabbit holes and there's so much opportunity to be at competition versus collaboration, or high contrast, where people defend each platform and they want, you can go down the list, climate change, all of these things that are happening, that the more expanded view we have, the more solutions we come up with. But their mindset. Do you want to talk a little, because I think you and April are geniuses at this. And is it by coming out in the morning, having a morning ritual, or is there something specific that you do? Because I can share mine, but would you share yours, Jay?
Yeah, thanks for that. And I appreciate the kind words. So, our disciplines is, we were just talking about this morning on another show, but we're part of what's called this 5 a.m. club, which we wake up right around 5 o'clock because we want to experience. The mindset is, again, we are here on this planet. We don't have a real definitive reason why. So we're going to go with best practices and live like this is like we're in a theme park. So our mindset is, let's wake up early. Let's enjoy the day. It sets the vibration. We wake up in high spirits. You get connected, and you really start moving in that direction. And again, staying away from things like, anything, Kathy, that doesn't serve us and I'm not talking about being airy fairy or love and lighty here, but anything that doesn't serve us or makes us feel uplifted, that's the stuff we start to cut away from. We say the same thing to other people. Like, look, if you're mindset is this, is if you want to make $1 million, but you're asking people that make, $1,000, then, you got a disconnect there. You have to be able to be practical about these things too. So, you have to really have a mindset that really matches your frequency and your vibration. So whatever you want, and listen, not everybody wants $1 million, not everybody wants whatever, but whatever you do want, find the right people, and your mind should go to the right people that have what you want. And that's how you start the whole thing. That's how you start the art of attraction, because now you start to attract exactly what it is you want. Because here's something we found out, is the universe doesn't give you what you want. The universe gives you who you are.
That's right.
So the more you are, that's what you get more of. And that's pretty evident as we start to see all this play out.
That's great. So Ross put yes for 5 a.m. meditation. He does that too.
Right on.
So yeah. So what we're talking about is you being the captain of the ship. You're not a victim. You in many cases, you probably volunteered to come down here to help during this huge time of change. And it's time to get off of the old cultural indoctrination, the programs that you may have grown up with, and maybe work on the shadow work that you may need to have in order to hold your real vibration, your soul imprint vibration. And that's what I do with a lot of my clients, is help them see and reconnect back to their soul mission. And then we alchemize their energy into the stepping stones, the milestones, to get them to that future state. What I'm finding is that there's lots of detours on the way, but if you keep raising your vibe, so your vibe will be high, then something will happen. Then you have the contrast. You're aware that, oops, I'm not at joy anymore. Or I'm not. You can put on music. You can watch a funny YouTube kid video or cat video or dog video. There's lots of ways that you can control that and get back to the high vibe, because everything here in this reality is set up for you. This is not as you said at the very beginning of our conversation, that this is a playground. This is an opportunity for you to co-create with consciousness. In my perspective, I like to say that consciousness is giving us memos, and some people act on it and some people don't. And what will happen is, if you aren't going to put into practice what you're getting, consciousness will find someone else to do it. So like, why didn't I invent Post-it notes? Well, if I got the memo, I didn't act on it. So somebody else got the memo and acted on it. And we're in this time right now where everything that's meant for you, there's no more, in my knowing, we're not in a box anymore. There's no more veils. We can, if we want to hook up with the reality of our soul and our future self, we can do that right now and bring it into form. And have you seen that too?
I do. Yeah, I do believe that too, that we can bring into our own reality and bring it back into form. And I think it's critical we learn how to do that. And you're right about the whole thing with the messages coming in. And, if you don't take your lesson plan, it'll eventually go to somebody else, and somebody else is going to get it. I mean, it's only so long that you're either going to disconnect from it. But that's evidence we start to see, because what happens is, if you start to continually get information and you don't take action of it, like you talked about this morning, manifestation. Well, manifestation goes a lot more than, sticking a picture on a board of a boat or a house. I mean, you just don't stare at it. You have to have action towards it. You know what I mean? You have to take action. And so without the action, and same with the downloads, you're not really going to proceed anymore. It just becomes information. It's no different than reading a self-help book, but you didn't, apply any of the techniques towards it that really could help you. So, we're getting, whatever you want to call it, source, God, spirit, holy, whatever that is for you, but we're getting information. There's no doubt about that. We're all getting information, and we know what it's coming from. And I think if we can start to use discernment, and discernment is, does it feel good? You know what I mean? Does it make you feel good? Does it feel like holistically, you know, you're progressing with it? Is it going to not only help you, but it's going to help the ones that rely upon you the most? And you know in your heart of hearts what you're about to do is going to do good things or not going to do good things. So, you know, that's pretty cool with discernment right there. So, you know, you just have to learn to bring that to resolve and say, okay, you know what, I am going to start to trust it, because the more you start to trust it and take it on, the more and more information you're getting, the more and more you'll see the manifest. That's the thing. Manifestations will appear when you start to allow it to appear, allow to trust it. You know what I mean? When you don't trust it, you just won't see it.
That's right. So the other thing that Ross just said is, let us not forget the gratitude factor. Gratitude must be included as a part of daily routine. And I on my website, masonworksmarketing.com, I have a free gratitude booklet that actually I was surprised at. I tested a whole bunch of free gifts, and that one won as far as the most people wanted it. Because what happens is, if you have a daily practice of gratitude, that's when you notice when you're out of it. It's one of those ways for you to go, oops, I'm not at gratitude anymore. I'm at resentment, or my shoulds show up. And
right.
So I want, my shoulds show up. And then you can easily switch it by going to a gratitude practice or Ho'oponopono, forgiveness practices. There's lots of ways to shift state pretty fast.
Yeah, and if you can, the key to this whole exercise I'm finding is that whether it become your business or your personal life, the quicker you can find out that you're out of alignment, the better off you're going to be. And that's the whole thing, because a lot of times that's why, again, you know, I can't, you know, because I see a lot of business people and I know what they do, and especially a lot in the spiritual world, they really embody what is going on, right? So, and part of that is that they manifest a lot of that in, and you know, we try to say, look, you know, don't, you know, just disconnect to some degree, you know what I mean? Because it's going to it's going to absorb you. And so, and I think that's just with business or people in life, because, you know, if they take the information, but then continually embody it, and it starts all of a sudden because you've seen it play out too. I mean, I've literally visually see what people start talking about literally becomes who they are. It defines them. It's like they've literally manifested this complete whole new being. It's a very strange phenomenon to witness, but it does happen, and it's a real thing. So I would say, you know, a lot of what April and I do, look, don't get me wrong. We don't live in a bubble. You know, we look at things, but we commit to making ourselves as best as we can whole first before we go out there and let anything affect our energy. So we just don't go out there blindly and be like, get into a situation where our energy could be messed with, or our mental state could be messed with. So we work on what we got to do. And this is daily practice. We work at everything we got to do to make ourselves whole and right. And then we'll go into a mind screw because we're disciplined. You know what I mean? We're going, you know, after that point. But we got to get strong for that place first, you know?
Well, yesterday I put together a video for a summit that was on being soul aligned. And so this is really top of mind, because the opportunity for us to really connect with our higher knowing, and this isn't religious, this is spiritual, but your higher knowing wants to embody more into this vessel. That's part of this whole ascension game, is us ascending embodied this time. And so what happens is, then if you're carrying around your trauma dramas from the past, and then they're building on layers like an onion, from when you had them from 0 to 7, and then you've kept them on since you were an adult, then all of that is in the way of you holding the light into each cell and being recognized. I think it's magnetic what happens, because you don't have to know how something's going to manifest. If you're holding that light, it just comes out of the blue. Somebody will call you from Singapore and say, hey, I need this. That's the way my life is. or somebody called me from Australia the other day. I mean, that's the way my life has shown up. But my job is to work on my self-love, to work on clearing all of those old storylines that no longer serve, release the contracts and the agreements that no longer serve. And as you said, do a daily practice that'll help you stay there. You can even do it multiple times a day. The other thing, Jay, I wanted to ask about, in your experience, it seems like a lot of people they're doing a lot of the head work, but not the heart work. Could you, and I just love your opinion on it, because, the idea of biology of belief with Bruce Lipton and Joe Dispenza's work, with all the brain work and heart math work. It seems like we're starting to finally get this journey from here to here, and the Dantian, really. But the journey from here to here is the journey that will create everything we could ever dream. Could you maybe talk about that a little bit in your experience?
Well, my interpretation of it, because I always want to respect everybody's views of it. My interpretation of it is that the head work really is more along the lines of getting rid of your ego, getting out of your own way, and learning about like how you're smarter, you learn more, you've read more books than many people. I mean, there's just there's a tremendous amount of ego that lives in there, And so I think if the quicker you can get to the head work and just let it come from a place, I mean, let it know that, and even businesses, soulful businesses, when they start to realize that their business is heart-centered, not so much head-centered, they're going to notice a lot more people are going to draw to them, attract. When you get in your head, I mean, people say things like get out of your own head, or, you're in your head too much, or things like that. They're saying these things because there's enough evidence that there's an implied problem when you're there. So I think that if people can really start to, release those things, start to really work on their, on their humility, and a lot of people, believe me, some of the most people that are stuck are like, oh, I'm the most humble people in the world. And the reality is that, you're not. It takes a lot of work to not be. I mean, it's like, listen, I mean, I get it too. And like I said, I know when I'm going on an ego trip, and again, all these things are just always here. You call it shadow work, I think you referred to, or whatever it is, but they're already within us. You just need to know when it's there. But I think the more and more people can start to learn that, especially like when it relates to business, because this is a business show, when it relates to business, I'll give you an example, prime example. We're working on a brand new project, me and April, and we by all rights, we feel like, we know what we got going on, and we got this stuff. For us to make this project to the success that it is, we made a conscious decision to bring on somebody else as a consultant and say, let's get out of our own head. You know what I mean? Because it would be a lot healthier for someone else to look at it from a different set of lenses than us, because we're emotionally tied to this thing, and we're attached to it. And then from there, when we allowed that decision to happen, we see that, the movement happening, and then we're like, oh, that feels good. And then you start to trust people, and you do start to break down those barriers. So I think it's important as a business person to often, depending on the scalability of your business, realize that you may have the greatest thing since sliced bread, but if you're emotionally attached to it, and there's little holes in it that could make the difference of you making it or not, our emotions will get in the way often of seeing those holes. So that's why it's really, in my opinion, critical to have an advisor or a consultant or someone else other than you that doesn't have that emotional investment in it, that can look at things neutrally.
Right. That's the idea of team or servant leader, or where when one person wins, everybody wins, creating all of that. So interesting. Ross put journaling is also very relevant and helpful as part of a daily routine. And then he also put yes to Bruce Lipton, Joe Dispenza, and Greg Braden, the three amigos. And I've been lucky enough to help with Bruce Lipton and Greg Braden in the past. So I that was great. Thanks, Ross. So when we're talking about the opportunities for people right now, and they're struggling, what would be your recommendation for the first part of their journey? Would it be hypnotherapy, visualization? Would it be this morning routine, getting into a morning routine? Do you have a recommendation? Because I think people are starting to rethink everything. Business can't be done just as it was, where it's win-lose anymore. It just won't flourish at all.
Well, a couple things is, number one, as a starting point, if you want to get creative, I would recommend they do what you and I are doing. I mean, this is we literally, the big part of our business is we help people set up their own shows and have them create there, because the benefit of having your own show is that it keeps you in the present moment, which is where you get the downloads and you get the information. You're not behind you in the past. You're not too far in front of you. You're in that moment. You get the information, you flow like a rhythm, and then you meet the greatest people. You start to actually meet your soul tribe, your cluster, whatever you want to call it. You meet people. So I would say work towards that. If you look, if I were that, having your own show allows you to be anywhere in the world and set up a business and go and prosper. Okay, that's what it does. I haven't found anything else that allows you to attract clients to you. It allows you to do this. The other thing I would recommend people do is, if they have a product or a course or something that they're selling, a lot of times they'll lead in with, oh, hey, you know what? Why don't you sell my course and here's your commission or whatever like that, right? Well, you know what? That course may be important to you, but I think if you're trying, in today's world, if you're trying to make a strategic relationship and you want if you want someone to help you, and you're the one asking for help, I think it would probably be a good idea for you to find out what it is that's important to them and find out how you can also reciprocate, because that's the world right there. So I would say, and I'm sure you do, Kathy, all day long. We get all day long about, oh, here's our latest product, lotion, potion, shake, whatever, and look how it'll benefit, blah, blah, blah. Here's how much you get paid. But, again, you have to always take a look at today's world. How are things mutually beneficial? That's how proper business is conducted. That's what we called, April and I call it the 5D economy, which is becoming abundant by helping other people become abundant. So you have to put everybody's, you have to line up with everybody's vibration, and you have to put their considerations and what it is their desires and needs are.
Right. And I think that that's always been, in my experience, that's what I'm calling a win-win setup, because I love my customers, and in most cases they love me, or they don't love me and they aren't my customers anymore. But what happens is the relationship is built on wanting to evolve the other person.
Right.
That's what you're saying too, because you're really taking somebody under your wing and coaching them as well as helping them with their business.
Yeah.
So it's a whole mentoring system.
It totally is, because you're not just taking someone and saying, look, you're taking the years of experience and you falling on your ass and learning how to get back up quick. You're taking all those different things that make you who you are today. And that's the energy you're giving. I tell people who say, like, well, there's people that, they're consultants and they have the hourly rates. And one of the ladies was asking me, she's like, well, is this the right rate I should charge? And I said, well, remember this, they're not paying for your hour. They're paying for the years.
And the results.
You know what I mean?
Results.
Right. So start to think about the thing that, if you're a consultant and you have an hourly rate kind of thing like that, or whatever, or packages, then realize that it'll help you change your mindset, and also the integrity of how you deliver your message, that they're not paying for that hour. They're not paying for that hour. They're paying for what you've done to get you that hour. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, we don't go to the doctor and say, well, you charge me X amount of dollars. We've been trained to know that we're paying for 12 years of med school. We know that. So we should do that. We should take that same theory with other businesses.
Right, right. And that is the sad part about a lot of the non-credentialed energy healers, change agents, the people that really may have the mystical side of business that we really need now. They are, because they don't fall into the traditional education system, they may not get credentials. I was working to get one of my clients on a podcast, and there was a doctor who had a show, and it was a perfect fit for her because this woman's amazing healer. She's worked with NFL football players, and she's like the go-to person for this football team. And the person who had the podcast said, no, she's not credentialed. I won't have her on here. And it's like, oh, wow, are you missing the boat?
Yeah,
but,
and that's it's like, that's where we got to wake up as a society for real. I mean, that's where, like, I want to kind of get back to what you've been saying a couple of times, like there's no real victims here, because if we allow that behavior to happen, shame on us. If we allow a president to get in there that we don't like, shame on us. Like, what, you know what I mean? We allow this. We allow politicians to make these rules, but yet we complain about them. Shame on us. So, like, there's in a lot of scenarios, there's no real victims here. They're only willing participants, right? So if we can start to realize, like, imagine like your client, for example, who apparently was didn't have the credentials. Well, listen, I would say to that person, actions speak louder than words. I mean, the biggest thing to do there is to have a bunch of other people start to rally around that person and lift them up and show that, who cares about that? You know what I mean? Anything is learned there. That's just what it, and then we just need to really think about that as the way that, you can't, if you're going to change the world and you're going to change the way you do business, you can't be like, well, yeah, I'm going to change the world and make a radical disruptor, but you're going to apply by those, well, that's the way that is. I mean, there's a big disconnect there.
Okay. This is wonderful. So Sarah said, I really appreciate you sharing today. You said at the start of the show and get the downloads. I get those when I listen to talks like this. Thank you. This has given me the idea to try and get them going live. That's what you had said. Thanks a million. So what we're talking about here is that this time period, I really believe that everyone that's here on this planet came here to make a difference in this time of huge change. And I know 100 years ago, someone could have said, oh yeah, we're in a time of real change, but man, are we now, where everyone is getting more and more empathic and intuitive and conscious. The frequencies are available for everyone to tap into their higher self if they know how to do it. And what's happened is I call it the memo. That's why it's like getting a Post-it note from the divine. You get this download, and it's not, like, oh, wow, yeah, really, it's a download. It's not that. It's either in a dream or a time period where you have some sort of silence. You might be in nature. You might be in a walking meditation where all of a sudden you get this inspired opportunity to see how you could serve, where your genius and your delight matches a need. And then it's up to you to say, why not? Why not try it? It's like us. You said to me, you want to do this? I'm like, why not? It's not like I didn't have other things to do. You have other things to do. Why not try to see if we can open people up to seeing their divinity and their opportunity?
I love this. I mean, for me, this is like every day's a practice. Every day's a thing. I mean, I see Sarah in there. She says, but I'm shy. Listen, we all are shy at some point, but this is what breaks a lot of that. I will say to you, Sarah, I'll address if I can, is that, if you have your own show and you do this, look at yourself now. Let's say today's what, the 30th. Look at the end of the next 30 days from now, and you did a show, you wouldn't even recognize yourself. You wouldn't. Your whole demeanor would change. It's like a lot of the stuff that you would literally be able to physically look at yourself and say, holy smokes, I'm a completely different person. You'll love the person you start to become because you shake off a lot of the energy that no longer serves you, the You know, for those who read auric fields, I think they'll be able to tell you that your aura probably is a lot brighter because you're letting all that stuff go, and you're able to speak your truth, and you're able to do it in the comfort of your own home or wherever you live, right? Or wherever you want to do that. And so that keeps you in a good, safe place. But it's a great way for you to break, or anybody really to break through. I tell you, if people got a voice and they're looking for something, Kathy, get a show. It'll change your whole world. It'll get you acclimated to what the concept of everything going on, whether that be ascension, whether that be multidimensional, whether it be like multiple timelines, whether it be past, present, future simultaneously selves. It gets you acclimated to this whole everything, the whole matrix, if you would, faster than anything. It does help so much.
Yes. I would say also that I started my show, Conscious Business Zone, out of, actually, I had a really bad breakup and I was just distraught, and I knew I just had to get out of bed at least 2 days a week and get on that show. And I just invited all my past customers and my friends to be on it for the first year. And it was never about me. It was always about my guests. And I've learned so much.
Yeah.
Part of it is you don't have, if you are shy or if you are new to all of the language, you may not have terminologies. I found that I had a spiritually transformative experience, and then I got very interested in the near-death experiencers, and that gave me a vocabulary. So I was like eating it up like candy or popcorn at a movie, because I was so fascinated with, oh, that's how you, because I felt it, but I couldn't articulate it. So I interviewed a whole bunch, and I still do. I still love the near-death experiencers. But see, what we're talking about is those near-death experiencers got out of this matrix, went to the other side, and came back with a courageousness that all of us have available to us. We can tap into that courage to show up for ourselves and others in a totally large way, right?
Oh yeah, it's amazing. And you know, when you do that, look, because a lot of people, they want to give things, they want to help people, you know, and you know, and you know, kind of getting a little bit in the mindset is a big part of doing some of these things. Is really your mindset is that you deserve prosperity, you deserve abundance. You know, you can't give from an empty cup, right? So you got to be able to have at least something that's going to help you prosper and change that mindset. So I would say, like, it's interesting. We still see a lot of business people, and I think you see it too, is, well, I'm not in it for the money, or I wouldn't do this if, I don't want to try to tell you anything, I don't want you to think I'm just making money. I mean, they feel like they have to justify what they're doing, why they're prospering, why they charge what they do. I mean, for God's sakes, if you feel like you have to justify all that stuff before you get into business, don't get into business right this second. Clear that space first, seriously. And if you're going into business, I mean, the last thing you want to do is, I'm not in it for the money. Well, that's kind of like, why don't you wait a minute, get your thoughts right, and then get back in the game, because you're not. I wouldn't want that person in my court. You know what I mean?
Well, I do think that there's so much self-work that comes out of all of this, because every person that you work with is a mirror to you, because you're interpreting it through your consciousness, through your awareness. So sometimes where you find things like where someone would say, oh, I want you to do it for half the price. And you're going, could I do that? And then you're going, how will I feel when I know I'm doing that for half the price? Or if you're a healer or do energy work, why you shouldn't be compensated. Just you may not have that doctor's degree, but you may have taken 12 classes to help you expand to that awareness, and have taken 20 years of your life to experience going to Sedona and Hawaii and all these places to open up your awareness. And that's worth something. So I think a lot of this is self-love. And that is a journey that nobody can just, I had a meeting very first thing this morning, and we were talking about this, about one of my friends had an awakening, and she said it just ruined everything. It crashed her 20-year marriage. She had an awakening to spirit and was not grounded for years, and blew up everything. And I had said, well, and we were talking about near-death experiencers, how much physical damage not only their worldview is changed by a spiritual experience, they have broken bones and problems throughout the rest of their lives from the physical damage that had happened to them. But they have this expanded worldview. And I said, we are so lucky we didn't have that to wake up. But we do all get a chance to step by step see the bigger picture, see your opportunity to be in the flow. Now, some people use those words. In the flow is in here, I think. And that's when you are connected really to who you are at a quantum level, and it's flowing into this field. And it's like you're surfing. I mean, you're not in the waves being bashed. You're on top of them, just hanging, right?
Yeah, you really are. Look, again, you asked me before, like, or you mentioned before about the fact of like, hey, you wanted to have this thing. Yeah, I do, because this is it. And this is for me. I want to show you that I'm looking for my vibrational match. So that's why I reach out and say, let's have these conversations, because that's how you vibrate together. That's how you do things. Wherever these things go or don't go is not always the purpose. It's about maintaining your vibration, and you do things that you do to vibration. So if you are, again, if you are, if you're a coach or something, and you're teaching people health and wellness, then I would probably be good that you're around healthy and wellness people, you know what I mean? And you talk to that circle of people. If you're in business, it's good to talk to business people. If you're in money, it's good to talk to money people. If you're in healing, then talk to healing people. Get in that and stay in that vibration, because that's what's going to make your gift stronger, and that's what's going to make you stronger. That's what's going to make you better for the people that end up reaching out to you. And listen, you may be by infinite design just designed to be like the most incredible person in your life for one person. Who knows, right? But somebody, you just may be the person that person's looking for. So allow that. Look at it from the perspective of allow your stuff to remove out of the way. Let everything come through. When you start speaking your voice and start doing your thing, there's probably, I would imagine, out there, a group of people that are just waiting to hear your voice so they can get that frequency, because you're their frequency match, and then they draw to you. So, enjoy that ride. I mean, and just have fun with this experience. Like Kathy says, a video game. That's what I believe too.
Yeah. And I think the joyfulness, I just can't keep saying that enough, where you wake up every morning and you're grateful. I keep saying I'm a lucky girl. and that seems to be reaffirmed to me over and over and over again. And so I'm just hoping that other people see the opportunity to serve others and create a win-win. That you get paid, they get paid, they prosper from your actions, you prosper from their actions, and it's not a win-lose game anymore, you guys. That hasn't ever worked. I mean, we aren't in the Roman Empire. We aren't serfs of the medieval times. I know some conspiracy people may not agree with me, but this is the times really to really enjoy your life and to see what sparks you, because it's that spark is the way to know the alchemy is available to create anything you want. That's
right. There's a purpose, I think, that we're supposed to, that probably would be good to find out what your purpose is. Find out what, you can live a life and not make it feel like work. You can. It's really, there's people doing it all the time.
Me.
Find out what that looks like. Me, I'm doing it. You know what I mean? And it's such a privilege and a blessing to do what we do. And I get it. And so we're here telling people this is possible. You're looking at it. You're looking at people that do what we want to do. We help people, we do it on our own terms. We, we're from wherever. Nobody's punching a clock. Nobody's answering to anybody. It's a great way to be. And I suggest if you would like that, then, take the steps to do that. Seriously,
Yes.
simply take a step. You don't have to be great to start, but you do have to start to be great.
Right. Oh, that's beautiful. The journey is the key, not the destination. I mean, we put a plan together and we look at the destination, but it's the journey and the personal growth and the opportunity to be in love with everyone and everything that's in your field, and then notice when you're not in love with it so you can correct, and that takes a minute. I mean, I really think that more and more people want this. They want to figure out how to create and be in service to themselves and others. And they're so close to the time period where this is just going to be the common way of doing business. I got to speak with, I did an event a couple years ago where I got to bring in this grandmother circle of Indigenous, and the Indigenous people in it were from all over the world. So there was a grandmother from Germany, and she actually sent me a bunch of stuff. She teaches circle work, which is the Indigenous work where they meet and co-collaborate. You pull the feather from the circle and speak. There's a prayer to start. Then
that's pretty cool.
Oh, it's really cool. Anyway, this woman is in Germany and she is teaching nonprofits and corporations how to do circle work.
See, there you go. That is so cool.
It is. It's amazing.
Yeah. You find your purpose. I mean, everybody's looking for somebody out there. All we have is each other. And that's the other thing too, that, I kind of process in my way of looking at life, is that we all need somebody. You know what I mean? There's always somebody out there to help us understand things, to continually move us along, keep everything in perpetual motion. So just be open to that. And like anything, always wishing people their success, but don't let it be like, hey, just some tips, Kathy, that we live by. We are not blood, sweat, and tears people. You know what I mean? Meaning, you know what I'm saying? It's like, look, there is a master infinite design that we feel like if we tap it, can make things relatively easier. So if it seems like you're struggling, then I would say to you, stop,
exactly,
hire somebody and see what the hell's going on. You know what I mean? Because generally, when you have a functional business, if you have a functional business, which means the website's up and running, your social media is up and running, you're up and running, you know what I mean? You dusted off with a day. Within 30 days, your business should be taking in cash flow. And if for any reason it's not, or where you think it is, you may want to consider figuring out, because it's not a matter of, oh, maybe it'll get there. One day it'll get there. It's the internet, for God's sakes. There's billions of people that can get there when you want it to get there. So stop and start, like I said, if it's about, and this is our rule of thumb really, is our rule of thumb is generally a week, but I would say for most people, it's like, I would say at least 30 days, but give yourself 30 days. And in 30 days, if you don't see some cash coming in a functionable business, then I would say stop for a minute, stop the bleeding, and take a step back, get a consultant of something and figure out what's going on. Have them look at that, because it very well could be the littlest thing in the world. Often it's just the smallest thing in the world that's causing you the biggest freaking headache in the world.
Yep. So again, we want to make sure that everyone understands this is the Quantum Business Show. This is our first session, and we're very excited about what may evolve and be shared here that can help you get through these changing times with enthusiasm and excitement about what your part in this change. Because in my worldview, you may not have had to come back here. You came back here during this time period to help us go from competition to collaboration, and to really change the paradigm of what's here in the game. And you are making up your own game as you go. So might as well intentionally do it, and do it with fun and joy and profitability, where it's a win, 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 win.
And a win-win.
On that note, we're at the end of our show. So Jay, how would you like people to get a hold of you, please?
Well, so they can visit, they could check out what we do at the 5deconomy.com. And if they want to kind of, wrap their head around anything and talk through something, like I said, they can text me. My number is 321-216-8047. Text your name, and then, we saw me on the show, and then, we'll set up a time to chat. But I would say in future shows, just send your questions in. What do you want to know? This is our inaugural show. What do you want to know more of? What can we help you with? We're here to help, understanding that this is how we grow. This is how we manifest. It's very soul fulfilling for us, and it's a privilege for us. So Kathy, thank you for bringing me in on this, and
sure,
the possibilities of what's there, right?
Yeah. And if anyone wants to get a hold of me, my website is masonworksmarketing.com. And if you have questions, or if there's any way that we can help you see the bigger picture, and what a delight you are in this whole game, that you may not know, and we may need to uncover a little bit of it for you, but I'd love to be able to be of service to help you. So thank you very much, Dave. This was fun.
Yeah, Kathy, thanks for this. Very healing, very therapeutic.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, everybody. Please share.
See you later.
Bye-bye.